Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PlayStation 3 emulation on Android with RPCSX UI Android. And RPCSX UI Android just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 2025-1012-F145BFB is the latest update. And this one may have some improvements. This is the first update I've seen to RPCS3 since August 31st, and it's still pretty early on in terms of overall development, so I'd expect some bugs and issues with it and things not to be perfect. And speaking about emulation updates, next up we're talking about Sega Saturn emulation with Ymir. And Ymir just got a brand new update to version 0.2. Now this is a pretty big update for Ymir. They've introduced a whole bunch of new changes, improvements, fixes, and even more. They say this update introduces low-level CD block emulation, an optional major feature that significantly improves accuracy. Furthermore here, and this is huge, Ymir now boasts over 90% compatibility over the whole collection of Saturn games, with the majority of games working flawlessly or with minor issues. On top of that, because yes, there's even more. There's automatic update checks, there's wave support for audio, and even more. If you're interested and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, link will be within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. I don't hide my sources. Next up, we're still talking about emulation updates, but going a little bit more niche here and talking about CrankBoy, which is a Game Boy emulator for the Playdate. And CrankBoy just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming here, version 1.1.0 is the latest update, and they say here, after 2 months of development, we are proud to announce version 1.1.0. Since our last stable release, we've greatly improved compatibility even with more games, and we were able to squeeze out a bit more performance. On top of that, they say they've improved the audio here, new audio timing option and more accurate audio emulation, visual enhancements, added support for ghost frame and frame blending effects, in-app downloads, download ROM patches and hacks directly from within CrankBoy, save state compatibility, crank configuration, a new configuration option has been added for the crank. And continuing to talk about emulation updates, but nothing near as niche, we're talking about GameCube and Wii emulation on iOS with DolphiniOS or DolphiniOS, or subscribe to Mr. Sujano depending on how you wanted to pronounce that. Anyways, DolphiniOS version 5.0.0 beta 1 has just dropped. And it is worth noting here, this is not officially a part of the Dolphin project. So as for the changes here, Oatmeal Dome says they've added in support for iOS 26. Apple made changes in iOS 26 to block existing JIT enablers from working. In this beta, we have updated DolphiniOS to use the new method provided by Stick Debug. Please note that you must use Stick Debug version 2.3.0 or later to enable JIT with DolphiniOS on iOS 26. On top of that, they've also updated the Dolphin core to the latest version here, 2509. And they say, please note that save states made in previous beta versions are not compatible and cannot be loaded. GameCube memory cards and Wii in-game save files are not affected and will continue to work after updating. And speaking about emulator compatibility, next up here we're talking about EmuReady Lite, which has just launched on the Google Play Store. And this app is currently 100% free. So they say here that this app is currently in beta, core features are available, and we are actively improving stability and adding enhancements based on feedback. This version lacks premium features like the automatic launching of games and applying correct settings for your games and emulators. Discover which games work best on your device with EmuReady, the ultimate emulation compatibility companion. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. A lot of people seemed very excited about the existence of EmuReady in the first place, the website. And now that it exists as an app, let me know your thoughts. And speaking about new apps, next up we're talking about Game Release Tracker, which is a brand new-ish app that's designed to track game releases. So they say here, stay ahead of the game with Game Release Tracker, your personal companion for tracking upcoming and recently released video game launches across PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo Switch 2. Now, from my understanding, this was released back in July, so just a few months ago, and that's why I said it's new-ish. Anyways, here the developer says it's completely free and no ads for now. but they do plan on implementing ads with a one-time purchase to remove them and some custom themes to pay for the upkeep of the app. but all functionality will always be free and upgrades will only ever be cosmetic. Next up here, we're quickly talking about Xbox, and this has been a very interesting journey of a whole lot of rumors and apparent misinformation. So Xbox is confirming that Target and Walmart are not removing products from their stores. So here's the quote up on Windows Central, and I'd recommend checking out the article for more information on the matter and probably full context on everything that's going on. So anyways, Target and Walmart, among other retailers, remain committed partners for Xbox consoles, accessories, and games. And on a side note here, I've checked out EB Games Canada, and the Xbox Series X is now listed. We checked this one out a while back, and the Series X was not listed. It was just the Series S. So it seems as if things are perfectly normal in the Xbox world. Let me know your thoughts. And speaking about perfectly normal, next up here, we're talking about Pokémon. And no surprise, Pokémon ZA leaks have already started ahead of its release, including the entire Pokédex. Furthermore here, it's also being reported that the source code and early builds have been leaked on 4chan. And there is a whole lot of information about this game being circled around the internet. So if you are trying to avoid spoilers, you may want to completely avoid looking at Pokemon ZA information. Now look at this comment from Willie Westside. They say, I don't understand the amount of discarded content and features. From what I can tell, Pokemon Co. had years to make this game optimized for Switch 1, while also running infinitely better than Scarlet and Violet. However, they just chose to remove content and make it look visually worse. Are they worried about it being too good? It still doesn't even have voice acting. I don't think this game would have set some impossibly high bar for them. And Astro Gamer here says, wow, they compromised the game so much from the initial build. Feels like they need to figure out how to render stuff partially so we don't get these PS2 ass buildings. Now the game officially launches in just a few days here, and I'm curious to see how the game overall is received. Based on some of those comments already, it seems people are already disappointed in the game. I'm curious to see the critic ratings, I'm curious to see the user ratings, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking about stuff releasing in just a few days, next up we're talking about an upcoming gaming handheld called the Mangmi Air X. And this one is priced at $80 plus a free case here, and it features a Snapdragon 662. Now, if you are interested in this one and wanted to see it in action, TechDweeb already has a video on this thing, and I would recommend checking it out. And again, like everything we talk about, link will be within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. And continuing to talk about gaming handhelds, next up we're talking about the MagicX 135. This one they say ships on November 26th and is currently up for pre-order. And this one is interesting because it has dual D-pads. So the chip in this one is a MediaTek Helio G85, and there are 3 different colors available: black, gray, and blue. And the RAM on this one starts at 3 gigs and priced at $71, and the 4 gig one is priced at $81. And the D-pad on the side here, so there are 2 D-pads, and the purpose of this is to play games vertically. And continuing to talk about gaming handhelds priced under $100. Next up here, we're talking about the brand new Anbernic RGDS. And Anbernic teased a new video here that's 36 seconds long and showcases the DS and also announces the price is under $100. Now, unfortunately, I don't have specific specs just yet. I don't know the chipset, but we can see it's got 2 screens. It looks really a lot like a Nintendo DS. And I'm really curious to see what happens here in terms of overall pricing and also the chipset. I'm hoping it'll at least run Nintendo DS games. Given the fact that it looks like a DS, I would say it should be running Nintendo DS games. But we're going to have to wait and see on that one. Moving on, and next up here, we're talking about Linux. And this one is super experimental, but if you are interested in the latest and greatest and cutting edge of things in Linux, there's a brand new Linux kernel available here, 6.18 Release Candidate 1. Now, with most release candidates, there may be bugs and issues with it. This is a good picture, though, of what they plan on shipping with version 6.18. And if you've got some really recent hardware, this one may be worth experimenting with if you are interested in cutting edge stuff. And speaking about new stuff, next up here we're talking about Project Plus, which is a community-driven patch for Project M, a game modification for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And Project Plus just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Project Plus version 3.1.5 is the latest update. And this one has a bunch of new stuff and a bunch of tweaks and bug fixes to a bunch of characters. Now, I would argue one of the biggest parts, if not the biggest parts about this release is not in relation to characters or stages or bug fixes. Listen to this. They say after using our current build of Dolphin for a majority of Project Plus's development, we have finally moved over to a mainline-based Dolphin, along with retaining all of FPM's unique features such as the client-side music toggle and auto-saving replays. We gain the following improvements from the 7+ years of mainline Dolphin updates. So they say here, restoration of macOS builds as well as a Flatpak option for Linux users. The NetPlay session browser allowing for players to host and connect to lobbies made in our build. Improved shader generation with Uber shaders. Highly improved frame pacing for smoother gameplay, notably on high refresh rate monitors. Dark mode on all platforms, better controller support on all platforms, a rewritten updater that's prettier, works better, and will no longer be flagged as malware on Windows. Increased stability on all platforms, especially non-Windows ones, and much higher potential for further upstream changes to be merged into our build. And speaking about changes to builds, next up here we're talking about Infidelity, who is well known for porting NES games to the SNES. And Infidelity has a huge new announcement. They say here, hello everyone, I have a major announcement regarding my ports to the Super Nintendo. As of October 12th, 2025, I went back and updated all 16 of my ports so that third-party controllers can function properly with them. Furthermore, he says here he's personally confirmed that all of them work on Randy Linden's Rumble controller. So all of these ports now have Rumble. If you are interested in learning more about these ports, check out Infidelity's tweets where there's a lot of very interesting information, including a list of all of the ports they've done. And speaking about interesting information, next up here we're talking about the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL versus the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. And it turns out that the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is better for emulation than the 10 Pro XL. And I find that information very disheartening and very disappointing. So there's a brand new video on YouTube from Android Authority, and I would recommend checking it out if you're interested, and also a new article from them as well. And the article is titled, Tested, Google's New GPU is a Disaster for Pixel 10 Game Emulation. Now, based on the information I've seen, it doesn't seem as if it's one thing that's causing the issue. There seem to be multiple issues, and this is very thorough testing. I mean, check this out. The Pixel 10 Pro XL tries to stay cool and throttles performance far quicker than last year being the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And check this out. They say Vulkan performance was worse in 2 of the 3 games I tested on the Pixel 10. That to me is super disappointing. I mean, I picked up a Pixel 9 Pro XL mainly for the cameras as a content creator for my channel and also for the average tourist. I really value the cameras in here, the video stability, the coloration, the zooming features, everything regarding the cameras. As an emulation powerhouse, I wouldn't say this is an emulation powerhouse at all. But learning that the Pixel 10 Pro XL is worse in almost every aspect here when it comes to emulation. And I'm extremely disappointed. I'm curious to see if Google makes any sort of changes for the Pixel 11 or if this trend is going to continue on as well. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. But if you were picking up the Google Pixel for photo and video as well as emulation, you may want to look at the Pixel 9 and maybe take advantage of a lower price point. I don't know here. Let me know your thoughts. And speaking about photos and videos, next up here, this is a video I shot on my Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. And I saw this owl later on in the day. This is a barred owl, a super rare find. I was very excited to see this on my camping adventures, and I was very excited to be able to show it with all of you. These are super hard to spot. Not only that, I'm zoomed in quite a bit here. I was really far away from this thing. Every time I tried to get close to it, it just flew away. There's a good example of how far away I was. And on top of that, as we were leaving the park today, we did see some wild turkeys. And you may or may not know this, but today is Thanksgiving in Canada. And seeing these turkeys, I would say, is pretty darn fitting. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and the legendary one fluff and some other fluffs. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.